Well, I'm glad that you're here. Some of you are here because your team is playing in the Super Bowl. And you're thinking, it won't hurt if I go to church. So I don't blame you. But my team is not here, not in the Super Bowl. But if you were going to go to Miami to go to the Super Bowl, this Super Bowl has set a record. It's never happened in the history of the Super Bowl before. So if you went to Miami, you would be buying tickets. The average ticket price for the Super Bowl today is now, for the first time in history, in 5 digits. Average price is just over $10,000. Now, if you were in Miami and you thought to yourself, I don't know if I want just an average seat to watch the Super Bowl. I mean, this is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Let's move it up. You can get into what they call, in Miami, in the stadium there, the 72 Club, which would have been, I believe that club is in honor of the undefeated season of the Miami Dolphins, but you can get into the 72 Club. That ticket, $49,000 to watch the Super Bowl. So it's going to cost you some money. Now, if you're a Chiefs fan, well, I should do this just for a second. Just with an uplifted hand, how many people here are like, I'm a Chiefs fan? I just want to get, oh, wow. And how many 49ers? Okay. 3. Oh, back here, 4. Brandon, of course, on our staff is big-time 49ers. And so you know he is, I'm going to tell you something right now. He can't even focus on this message right now. But I want to do a little comparison. 49ers, Chiefs, just to kind of get you ready to go. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, is this going to be a whole sermon about football? Yeah. And it is. It is. Well, we're going to kind of weave that in a little bit. Jimmy Garoppolo, and as Brandon says to me all the time when he sends me a little text message, Jimmy G. He was the 62nd pick in the 2014 draft by the New England Patriots. So he wasn't a first-round pick, but he did sign a contract to play football, to go out there on a field once a week and throw a football. $137.5 million. $27.5 million per year. And so that's a big-time contract. In contrast, Patrick Mahomes, do we have any Mahomes fans out there? Oh, yeah. He is only making this year $2.7 million. And he is expected then to renegotiate his contract after the Super Bowl, and you can expect a substantial raise. Some people project he will be the highest paid player in the NFL after his contract goes through. Now, one of the things I'm telling you about these, can you imagine what it would be like if they announced you as you went to, let's say, New York, and you're sitting there in the green room, and they're getting ready for the NFL draft, and somebody says, and with the first round pick, the New York Jets select Pam Moody. You didn't know that was coming, did you, Pam? And can you imagine, you hear your name, and then you walk out there, the commissioner's there, you walk out, you put the hat of the team on, you shake hands. I mean, that would be an incredible feeling to be a number 1 draft pick. Well, here's the thing. Today, I hope you go home and realize that you are a number 1 draft pick from God's perspective. I want to show you a verse that will kind of start us off here. In John 15, verse 16, it says that you didn't choose me. So in other words, it wasn't like you woke up one day and said, oh, I want to have God in my life. I think that would be awesome. I would love to have a relationship with God. God, are you there? No. It says quite the opposite. You didn't choose me. I chose you. And there's that verse in Romans chapter 5, verse 8. I don't have that for you, but it says, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. I chose you not because of all of your accomplishments, not because of everything that you've done, but I chose you because I love you. In fact, it says that in 1 John 4:10, this is real love. Again, it takes the same angle. Not that we love God. We didn't love God. We were actually living on our own, trying to build life the way we would want it to be. But God loved us and sent his son as a sacrifice to take away our sins. Now, if you can, just for a second, Timothy, can you take me up to that very first verse? Watch this. You didn't choose me. I chose you and I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit. So here's this purpose of producing lasting fruit. Because sometimes we're here and we're wondering, why am I really here? Is it just to work? Is it just to, build my life, have my family, and be a part of all that and have some friends? Is that just really what my life's about? And what God is going to try to tell us really, I think, through these verses today is that I want you to know, number one, I chose you first round. And I have a purpose for your life. And it's to produce fruit. And when you fulfill that purpose, when you live like that, it will make such a difference in your life. And it's so important that we do that. Now, just for a moment, there's some things that I know that you want in life. And one of the things is that you really want to, and I'm going to use a word from Dr. Rosenberg, who actually kind of coined this idea, but it's that you want to matter. In this world, you want to matter. And what Dr. Rosenberg found out when she studied students was that students that the teacher helped them to realize that they mattered were much less likely to get in trouble. So there was this feeling that I matter. If the teacher helps me feel like I matter, that I'm not going to get in trouble so much. I'll try harder. So it's huge to feel like you belong, that you matter. In fact, they begin to look at this through all stages of life, Dr. Rosenberg, and found out, get this, that those who have retired want to feel like they still matter, that there's a reason and a purpose for my life. And so God is saying, listen, I chose you, number one, to be a first-round draft pick. And I want you to produce fruit. Now, you're going to be in all kinds of different jobs. You're going to do all kinds of different things, but I want you to realize that you do matter in this life. Now, the interesting thing about this is this idea of mattering, of belonging to something, is so foundational. And I wish, in some senses, I could do another sermon, another part 6, I'm at part 5, and we got to move on. But I would love to take you through this a little more importantly. But Abraham Maslow, which if you have ever studied in psychology, Maslow was, I think he dies like in 1970. He's a great American psychologist. And anyways, he came up with the hierarchy of belonging. This hierarchy. Basically, you would find, if you Google this, you'll find it all over, but it's the hierarchy of needs. In other words, the basic needs that people have. And so, the first need, so think of these needs as a pyramid, and the foundation pyramid of this is physiological. In other words, we need to eat. We need to drink. So the basic needs that we have in this life is we have to take care of those basics first. If you were all of a sudden found yourself on some deserted island, the first things you would do are the basic needs. We got to find fresh water, and we've got to start to find food. We got to start to build a shelter. Now the next one up from that is the idea of safety. So in other words, what he began to describe was this idea that we need to somehow know that we're safe, that we're going to be able to take care of ourselves from that perspective. So even your employment would fit into here. In other words, if I'm safe if I have enough money to be able to buy food and to be able to do the things that I need to do. So safety is really number 2. I've got to be able to feel safe in my shelter, wherever it is, and around people, and I'm not threatened and from an attack or something. So safety's right there. Now, what's fascinating is number 3 and number 4. There's 5, by the way. Number 3 and number 4. Number 3 is love and belonging. So that that it is so common for us with really every person. It is so deep within us that, and most of us, by the way, get this, most of us have food. We have a place to live. Most of us are employed, or we have a retirement check or something like this. Most of us do that. So in one sense, the very foundational two of these that Maslow pointed out are already met. But all of a sudden you move up to the next one, and that's where society starts to break down. That we all have this need to be loved, and we all want to belong. The next one up from that is self-esteem. So all of a sudden, what seems to be fairly easy to acquire, food, shelter, perhaps a job. The problem is getting above that. Because being loved and belonging is not as easy in some aspects. And so that's where it comes in, this idea that God has chosen us as this first round draft pick, you didn't choose me, but I chose you. I want you on the team. It's so important that you're on the team. It says here in Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's handiwork. In other words, God made us. He's created us. Notice this. Remember it said in the first verse to bear fruit. Now it says to do good works. There's certain things that God would want us to do, which He said, I prepared in advance for you to do. In other words, this is what I want you to do. I want you to follow this and be a part of this. I created you for it. This is your purpose. Now you might think, well, my purpose, I think, is to work over here or to do this, or I'm just a father. No, He says, there are good works that you will do as a father, as a husband, as an employee, or as an employer, however that might be. I prepared good works for you to do. You're a part of the team. Now, what's the purpose, Brandon? Yeah. There is more. What's the purpose of the football game today? W. Win. He's right. They're going to play that football game as long as it takes, because this is the Super Bowl, till somebody wins. So why are you here on planet Earth? Why did you show up? And in that sense, God says, listen, I chose you, number one. I want you to realize that you matter so much to me, that you're a first-round draft pick, and I have you on this earth to produce fruit, to do these good works. Why? So that God can share His grace, His love with others. That God uses us, which is mind-boggling to me, but He uses us to reach out with His message and to share it with other people. And until we realize that we're connected to that kingdom, we can often live a life that becomes more self-centered. It just kind of focuses on us. But God says, listen, when you become a part of the kingdom, it's so awesome when you're in this kingdom and what I can do for you. It's kind of like this. Some people are waiting. It's game on. What He's saying is, listen, it's game. Now, what time does that game start tonight? He doesn't have to think. He's over there just like in the front row. You can't see him, but he's over there. But it's game time. The other night, the Halls were over at our house, and I called Tony and said, Tony, that Big Ten wrestling, Iowa, Penn State. Man, that was a wrestling match. And I apologize because I couldn't stay in my seat. I wanted to, because Tony, never been over to our house. I wanted to stay in my seat, but I just couldn't. And I get up the TV, and there was this one move. I shouldn't even say I was so into this that I said, there was this one point when he had this bar arm, and he was going to reach up with this, or the Iowa guy was taking his arm. I said, and I didn't mean it, but I just said, tear it off. I didn't mean it like that, but I was thinking, and then Tony goes, the hospital's right next door. We'll put it back on. But with this meat would have been sold, it was one of the highest anticipated dual meets in years. Number 1, Iowa. Number 2, Penn State. Sold out for over 2 months. When those guys come out of the tunnel in Carver Arena, all of a sudden the flames are shooting up. And you line up, of course, in your weight. Spencer Lee, 125 for Iowa, goes out onto the mat. I mean, it's game time. I mean, it's on. Let's go. They're going to shake hands. They're going to back up about 3 or 4 feet, each one of them. The referee's going to set the whistle to go, and boom, it's on. You know what God is saying? For all of us who have Christ in our heart and in our life, He said, man, it's game time. It's game time right now. There's no waiting. There's no, I think it'll be in a number of years. Maybe I don't have enough education. I haven't prayed enough. I haven't read the Bible. No. You were chosen first round. Now, we all have different gifts, different purposes in this life. Notice this verse here in 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received, and here comes the hard part, to serve others. Each of us should use those gifts. Thankfully, in our house, I don't have the gift of washing dishes. Otherwise, I would be using my gift, but I obviously don't have it. Perhaps I could develop it, Leanne, I don't know. As faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Now notice this. Whatever gift you've been given, and they're all varied. By the way, dishwashing is not one of them. But whatever gift you've received, serve other people. Why? Because as faithful stewards of what? Of God's grace. So in other words, somehow God's grace is a part of your life, and you're going to share it in its various forms. Now, I'm going to say, Will, you really preached the whole sermon in about 15 seconds today. And this is going to take us another 18 minutes. No. And for people like Brandon, it's going to seem like about 2 hours and 18 minutes. But, you see, Will did. Here's what he said. He said 8 years ago, John asked me if I wanted to be a part of the praise team, just fill in. If I ever come up to you and say that to you, now you know what that really means. Would you just like to try it? Fill in? And so Will's up here, but remember what he said? He said, my guitar was in the closet and it was dusty, wasn't it? And I pulled it out. Where would I be now? What would I be doing if I wouldn't have done that? Not all of us, and probably not many of us, actually have a gift like Will has. But that doesn't mean that our gifts aren't as important as anyone else's gifts. We all have them. And the important thing is that we use that to spread God's grace in various forms. You might think, but I don't know. I'm not a pastor. I don't know all those things. It doesn't matter. That's not the critical thing, that God can use any of us. First round, your first round. We went in the same round by God, by the way. God picked us all in the first round. And He says, if you can reach out, if you can love someone, if you can care about others, if you can try to bring some other people in, if you can do that, it will make a difference in my kingdom. Do you know the majority of the people that I've been able to share my life with and my story about Christ? Catch this. None of the people knew I was a pastor until a little bit later on. And it all happened in stores of people I have never met before in my life. You see? It's just allowing God to lead us into relationships and opportunities to share His grace. We are stewards of God's grace. It's an amazing thing in its various forms. And I know what you might be thinking like me, like, well, man, I'm never going to be able to do that. I got problems. I can't do it. But we all, if we come together, then we're able to do this incredible thing called church in a way that reaches out to everybody else, because we all use our different gifts and reaching out in all these different places. And God takes all these gifts and puts it together like a team. Like when this game starts, how many people are on the field for the 49ers at one time? 11. Well, that means all of a sudden the offense and defense they switch off. I mean, the offense comes out, 11 come out. Then they got to go off. The defense, 11 come out. But they're all one team. And that isn't even talking about the special teams. We all work together. Some people have the gift to be a quarterback. Some people have the gift to be the receiver. Some people are the running backs, the linemen, the kickers, the punters. I mean, they're all different gifts, but they all reflect one team. They all have to play to their best. And what God is saying is, listen, I know you think the Super Bowl's big in America, and it is. But here's the deal. What we have before us, the game that we're in, is so much bigger. The results are for eternity. Reaching out and making a difference in this world, being stewards of God's grace in various forms, whatever it would be. It might just be the way you greet someone when you go to the grocery store. You had no clue what was happening in their life. And God starts to use your life to touch their life. There might be somebody at work that you've noticed a tear stream down their face. Might be at school, and somebody just doesn't seem right. I'm just telling you that God can use you wherever you are in its various forms. Now, some of you are going to watch the Super Bowl for only which is why we're going to have a commercial right now. Get you in the Super Bowl mode, and this commercial is an illustration, and it's from a movie, and this is for the kids, so kids pick up on this. This is for you, but it's a reminder of how we have to all work together and do our part to be a team. Our first Super Bowl commercial.
How are we gonna get him now? Pizza, anyone?
Go, go, go! I got it! Oh, Buzz, are you coming? No, I have a lot of catching up to do with my dad.
Good throw, son. That's my boy. So long, Buzzy.
Oh, you're a great dad. Yippee! Farewell.
Does anyone know how to drive?
Slink, take the pedals. Rex, you navigate. Ham and Potato, operate the levers and knobs.
Whoa! Strangers from the outside.
Oh, no.
He's in a red light! We can catch him!
Maximum power, Slink!
Whoa! It turned green! Hurry!
Why won't it go?
Use the wand of power.
Rex, which way?
Left! And he's right! That's right! Right is left! Left is right! Buzz, he's turning left! He's turning left!
Oh, I seriously doubt he's getting this kind of mileage.
Go right! To the right! Right, 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 right!
You have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful.
Yeah, whatever.
It takes a lot of toys to drive a pickup truck the right way. It takes all of us to be a part of this. And I know here's the thing that kind of separates a lot of us in a sense that where we think that, well, God couldn't use me. I get the idea that he loves me. He cares for me. I'm a first-round draft pick. But you don't know all the things and the difficulties and the problems that I've had. In fact, I've had some failures, and I don't think that God can use me. But listen to what Paul wrote in Philippians. He says, I focus on one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I don't stay in the past. There's been a lot of defeats. There's been a lot of difficulties. But I forget the past and just keep focusing on now, moving into the future with God. I have to stay there. So one of the things I think the enemy does for us is continually to remind us of our failures in the past. And people stay there in the midst of their failures, like almost imprisoned within that. And God says, no, come on. You're a first-round draft pick. Yeah, we blew that game. It's okay. Let's go now. Come on, let's go. There was one quarterback that won the Super Bowl that was not drafted. Never was drafted. Who was that? Anybody know? Kurt Warner. Boy, you should know that, shouldn't we? We should all know that. Iowa. Born in Burlington, Iowa. went to UNI. He started at UNI his first year? No. Second year? No. Third year? No. Fourth year? No. Fifth year started for the first time. Now let me ask you a question. How many fifth year, first time starting quarterbacks do you think make it to the NFL? Not many. He did get a tryout with what team? Packers. He got a tryout with the Packers, and they had him up there for a while, and they released him. That's okay. Not going to be good enough. What do you do with that kind of failure? It was your dream to be an NFL quarterback, but you couldn't even get to be a starting quarterback until your fifth year at college. So what do? Mope around, think you're never going to be anybody? Maybe, except you got to work, you got to pay for the food, you got to try. So what's he do? Gets a job at Hy-Vee. How much did he make at Hy-Vee? $5.50 an hour. Now, he must have been in charge of an aisle at Hy-Vee, because this is what he said. He said, people started to ask me why the floor in my aisle area, everything was that I just took attention to every small detail. Why I made sure in the aisle that I was responsible for that the boxes were all lined up just right, and the stuff that on his shelves. He said, people came into me and they would say to me, why do you do that? I thought you were going to be that football player. Did you catch that, by the way? I thought you were going to be that football player. But now you're working for $5.50 in a grocery store. Why do you try so hard at $5.50? Were you the guy that went up to the Packers? And you're working so hard right here? His answer when he was interviewed was phenomenal. He said, when people would ask me why I tried so hard at the grocery store, it's because I still had my eye on football. And I knew that if I put attention to detail at the smallest things, and I outworked people, and I did my very best, that those characteristics that I would build into my character would one day transition if I got another opportunity to be a football player. That's why I work hard. That's why I'm attending to all these details. It's not where I necessarily want to be, but this is where I am right now, and I will work as hard here as I would if I was playing football. I will take the attention to the detail that I need to do, and everybody couldn't believe it. The people that would walk in was like, look at that. Look what Kurt Warner does. Well, he wound up coming to Des Moines, played for the Barnstormers. Don't we wish we would all watch that a little bit more back then? Gone a few more games. And then, does he make it? He jumps right to the pros, right? From the Barnstormers to the pros? No, he doesn't. He goes to Europe and plays, and then gets a tryout with the greatest NFL team in the history of the world and the universe and every planet in every solar system, the Rams. And you know the rest of the story. He's in the Hall of Fame. A kid from Iowa who doesn't seem like it's going to happen. You see, I had to keep thinking, I had to forget the past. I had to just say, I'm going to be involved right now. I will do the best job. If I'm working in a grocery store, I will do the best I can do. What would happen if you and I would forget the past for a little bit and all the mistakes, realizing that we're a number one draft pick by God, and we just started focusing on trying to live our faith out excellently? What do you think would happen, and what would our sphere of influence be in reaching out to other people? You see, it could make such a difference for others in this world. It says here in Philippians 2:4, Paul goes on to say, don't look only for your own interest, but take an interest in others too. In other words, we're never going to produce fruit. We're never going to be able to reach out for people. We're never going to be able to expand this kingdom if we don't take an interest in others. So first of all, forget the problems and the difficulties and the failures of our life. Let's focus on moving forward. And can you imagine do you think any of those teams that they're going to play today, the Chiefs and the 49ers, are going out there and think, man, remember the NFL championship game that we just played in? Remember that game, that last game we just played in to get to the Super Bowl? Let's think about that for a while. You think they're doing that today? No. That game is gone. Did you think some of those players made mistakes in those games? Sure. Are they going to focus on all that today? No, that's gone. This is where we're playing the game today. This is now. So we don't focus, but then we start to take an interest in others. And we're looking at other people. We're trying to see what they have. Because if we don't take an interest in others, if we don't do that, we'll never be able to get this fruit going and do the good works that God has prepared for us. Because here's the thing. The only thing that lasts forever are people. So you can't look for your own interests, but you have to look out for others because they last forever. So we can't be self-centered. It goes on to say this, let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. Now, you think people will, on the sideline, some of those players will be encouraging each other today? Boy, we ought to be a little bit more like a team like that, shouldn't we? Where you say, come on, let's go. That's awesome. Let's go. Let's do it. Man, that's just incredible. Chiefs fans, let me give you a little something. I've been giving Brandon a little bit. He's got asked to look at his socks. I would call them hose, actually. I wouldn't even call them socks. But they're 49ers hose, I think is what they are. But anyways, you can take a look at those later. You only tease the people you love. Was it how the Chiefs were playing the Titans? What was the score at the end of the second quarter? In the second quarter there, right before the half. What was the score? It was 24, Titans 24, Chiefs. Yeah. Now let's be honest, Chiefs fans. You were a little discouraged. Probably more than a little bit, thinking there's no way our team is going to win. Now there was one moment in that game that if you're a Chiefs fan, by the way, if you're a 49ers fan, don't count them out. But if you're a Chiefs fan, there was the significant moment of the game. And it came down, the cameras went to the sideline, and Patrick Mahomes was standing there. His offensive receivers, backs, were sitting on a bench. I'm sure they were discouraged. 24-0. And Patrick Mahomes said these words on camera. I mean, they caught it on camera. They're playing man coverage. If we catch the ball, make one person miss, it's a touchdown. Mahomes said, let's do something special, exclamation point. Let's do something special. They've already counted us out. One play at a time. Do something special. And all of a sudden, the moment they went on the field the next time, touchdown. 2 plays, and then it was a touchdown. The next time, touchdown. As you know, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It was incredible. And people went back to that moment, those lines of looking at a team who was dejected, had their helmets off, sitting down there. This game's over. These are the people playing the game. And he comes out, one play at a time, men. Let's do something special. Understand the coverage. Make somebody miss. Oh, I could play football today. I feel like I could. But here's the thing. You see what encouragement does? Encouragement just helps people go. It's not over until it's over. Let's keep moving in the right direction. But how many can we encourage in this world? How can we reach out and encourage someone? What could we do as a part of the team where first-round draft picks can make all the difference in the world? You see, our purpose is to share the gospel with others. This message that Jesus forgives us of our sins, that we can live with him forever, is really the culmination, you might say, of John 3:16, for God so loved the whole world, that he gave his only son, that whosoever would believe would not perish but have everlasting life. The world needs that message. And God created you and put you on this planet to use a gift that he has given you to help share that message. It could be things that we don't think about. It might be musical. It might be that you just walk up to somebody and begin to befriend them. It might be just encouraging someone. But we're a part of a team. You never know how God is going to do it. Bob, I said I might use you for a moment, but Eric, you guys came in, you had the baptism. I think we were standing right here. Bob, your first Sunday in church, wasn't it? And you hadn't been to church in quite a while. Quite a while. That was how many years ago? 5 years ago? 5 years ago. It was right, we were right here, and you guys were out there, and you're watching your grandson be baptized. And you, the first time you've been to church in a long time, and you thought, you know what? It's not terrible. A little bit terrible, not terrible. 5 years later, just a few weeks ago, Bob and I went right up there. We knelt right in front of the cross in the top row. And Bob found Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. You see? But there's been a lot of things that happened over those 5 years. There's been a lot of songs done here. There's been things that have ministered to his heart and in his life. You see, it's happening all over. God's going to use your gift. There's been people over here who greeted him. It's not just one thing, it's all those gifts. I don't know what your gifts are. I just know you're first round draft pick. You're not second. You're not third. Have you made a few mistakes? Yeah, but you're getting back up. You're not focusing on the past. We keep moving with God's kingdom. He says, this is why I put you here. And how long are we going to keep sharing this incredible message with other people? Until this, Philippians 3:14, I press on to reach the end of the race. I don't know how long my race is going to go. You don't know how long your race is going to go. But let's keep on reaching out and making a difference, encouraging people on the way. It makes all the difference in the world. Let's pray. Jesus, the one thing I pray is that we would all understand that we're a first-round draft pick. Every one of us. We didn't choose you. You said, I want them. The price paid to redeem all of us was the death of your son Jesus on the cross. We are so loved. We belong to you. We know your love and we belong to you. Our self-esteem comes from what you have done for us. And you've said, listen, I put you here to go out and bear fruit. I prepared works for you in advance. So I want you to go out and do great things. It's my kingdom that matters more. I know you're excited about the Super Bowl, but my kingdom is what really matters. So I want you to look around. I want you to see the people that might be hurting and are lonely. And people that you love that maybe just haven't ever thought about God. And pray for them. And then allow me to put gifts into your life and other people's lives to begin to share with them. Because the most important game of all is that one. And you're my first round draft pick. You're on the field right now. Lord, help us to do that. I thank you for Bob coming to Christ. And I just pray, Lord, that you would help all of us to just kind of use our gifts that you've given to us to extend your grace in its various forms to others. We thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, stand up, turn to somebody, just look them right in the eye and say, you know what? I'm a first round draft pick.